Hey, would you look at that? I moved. It's still pretty fucking cold down here. What a great way to start the year, though. Hopefully, everything stays good and absolutely nothing bad happens to anything located in the northern United States, especially the DC area. But in all seriousness, 2020 was horrible. 2021 is fucking insane right now, and I can only hope that it improves from here. Getting back on topic, welcome to Why Aren't You, the show where we'll open up the year to another middle class white guy talking about The Wire. The Wire was one of the first breakout hit shows in the home box office network, also known as HBO. The show first premiered on the network in June of 2002 and aired 5 seasons from then until 2008. The show follows the exploits of the Baltimore Police Department and the cases they solve, as well as their own personal struggles, achievements, and relationships between each other and the citizens of the city. Each season has a loose interpretation of a theme or problem to solve, including things like drug trafficking or the public education system. The show was created by David Simon and co-written by Ed Burns, both a former police reporter and a former police officer, respectively. This aspect of the writers gives what feels like a more realistic and believable approach to the police work on the show. This show, as well as The Sopranos, also marked one of the first times a show felt different to me in what I can see in history. Maybe it was the high standards brought on by HBO and its premium cable service, but The Wire and The Sopranos were both the first iteration of what I can think of as cinematic television. From my understanding, there wasn't many shows like this at the time. It felt so high budget and cinematic compared to other shows at the time. Almost like it was just a shorter kind of movie that you could see in a theater. Of course, there might have been shows before that I can't track down, but these shows were probably a kickoff for AMC to do their thing. The Walking Dead franchise, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, Mad Men, all of these shows felt like more than just TV because of how amazingly produced and highly stylized they were. There is a reason these shows are popular and still have video essays being written about them today. They're just good. One interesting topic about The Wire is their approach to the police procedural formula. Most shows under the police flag focus on the police being heroes of the story, usually flawless protagonists, working hard to stop the car thief, murderer, or kidnapper, or whoever the criminal is this week. The criminal is outsmarted, put in jail, and the detective moves on to the next case. What The Wire does is look at the situations from both sides of the fence. We still do follow the detective and uniformed officers of the Baltimore Police Department, and technically they are still the protagonists. But we also stick with practically the same gang of criminals throughout multiple episodes, even multiple seasons for some of them. And the characters we see all have flaws. Some of them drink a little too much, some of them are adulterers, some of them are bad at their jobs and take a little bit to actually get to the good police work they keep talking about on the show. For the most part, they end up okay in the end, but it's a long road for them to get there. It's kind of peaceful seeing the character development that feels different from other kinds. Maybe because I'm not used to shows showing cops in a more complex light than good or bad. Which leads me to the criminals, the gang members, the violent ones. Honestly, even though most of them do really bad things, some of them aren't that bad. The show looks into the lives of these criminals and why they might have gone into this line of work. Some of them have no skills because the education system has failed them. Some of them are doing it to support family members that can't work themselves. Some of them are doing it because there's nothing left for them to do. They keep getting roped back into the game, no matter how many times they try to get out. And some of them do try to get out. They understand that the streets aren't always going to be there for them. They'll try to get out of the city, into a real job, start a business, something like that. But the streets aren't always going to be there for them, and they might not always make it out. Alright, so I went into a little bit about the plot of the show, the character development, and little bits of history regarding The Wire. Now we get to the reason I do these, the why aren't you, to answer some questions and fight arguments as to why you aren't binging The Wire like every dad with an HBO subscription. Keep in mind these are all considering that you have the time to binge a new series, you're looking for a new series to binge watch, and you're one of the dweebs that shells out the 15 bones a month for HBO in the first place. You could probably stream it for free somewhere, but don't do it on a computer you like because you'll probably get a virus or 7. Why name it The Wire? The Wire references the wiretap used in the first season to spy on payphones in Baltimore. And these phones were used to call pagers to notify the dealers of drop-offs or restocking product or any other kind of issues that may arise. What's fascinating about this is with today's youth, there may be people who don't understand what 3 of those things are, but they're still old enough to handle other mature themes tackled in the show. Everyone is getting older and I feel closer to death every day. With how the past year has been, Are you sure we should support cop shows? Figured this was going to be a topic that would come up, so I may as well go into it, because it's kind of a tough subject right now. Obviously, the police system is a hard thing to talk about and take one side or the other. Also, refusing to take either side can be just as harmful as not saying anything. With the police brutality shown at Black Lives Matter protests these past few months, and how non-existent the brutality was at the White House riots we saw at the beginning of this year, it's getting really hard to be on the side of police right now. Even for me, it's tough, because I know what I believe in, but I have family members and friends that are police officers that I'm pretty sure are the good police that I keep hearing about. But the stance I'm going to take for right now is that, yeah, maybe there are good police officers out there. I think of people like Capitol Police Officer Eugene Goodman, the officer who lured away a collection of protesters from a group of congresspeople that were still in the building at the time of the attack. There are numerous other stories of an officer here or there doing good police work, but I don't think that's enough to erase the bad that's going on with the system as a whole. There may be good cops, but right now it's a system that's broken that needs some kind of repairs, or to be torn down entirely to start fresh. And that's sort of what The Wire tackles in its police system too. It's more the system that's the problem than it is one singular police officer. Majors and commissioners that are more obsessed with lowering dead body counts than solving cases. The politics of succession when a commissioner is asked to step down. The change in command with a new mayor and the dynamic shift in who runs what at the time. Politicians paying off police to make certain cases disappear that may hurt their re-election campaign. There are good cops on the show working their hardest to make sure that they can do their job right, but it only takes one person in a high up position to decide that that's not what needs to happen. Whew, boy, that ended up getting a little bit preachy at the end there, huh? This is supposed to be the funny haha show where I talk about stuff I like. I know I probably shouldn't get into politics because I don't want to cut off any of my audience. But what kind of audience would I be shutting out that disagrees with cops killing people is bad, right? That's probably as much as I can get into this episode without getting too deep into it and having something bite me in the ass later. So I'm gonna finish there. I didn't even get to the idea of propaganda, where in the 50s with Dragnet, the police union actually had editing rights to any of the scripts to change them however they deemed fit, making it more family-friendly or changing the story entirely to make the whole police good, criminals bad dynamic more frequent. I'm gonna link a video from Skip Intro. This guy has been doing a whole series on the ideas of propaganda and the history of it and the police procedural. He has his own episode on The Wire that goes a bit more intensive into the plot and history and spoilers of the show. He's a lot smarter than me, and he's getting paid to do it via Patreon, so go give him a watch if you've got the time. It's a really good series. In any case, go watch The Wire on HBO. It's a good show and shows the dynamics of both cops and the criminals, and I think that right now, I think that's kind of what we need. It's both sides of the story. Thanks for sticking around. I got more videos on the way, some of which aren't even specifically this Why Aren't You format. As much as I like doing them, looking at analytics, it looks like nobody else is as interested compared to my other kinds of video essays. Subscribe to the channel to keep up to date, like the video if you liked it, comment to tell me to fuck off, and go follow me on Twitter and Instagram for more updates, memes, behind the scenes tweets. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys on this video. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one.
She.